Scare zones and street experiences? Coming to Halloween Horror Nights 34. Let's talk about it. Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Michael from Halloween Thrills back with another video. And we have yet another amazing week of announcements for HHN 34. And we have a ton of scare zones to talk about and these new things called street experiences to talk about. But really, before we break down anything from these announcements that happened this week, please make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notifications turned on to get notified whenever I post a video. And also make sure you're following both Instagram and X. The links are down in the description below. But without further delay, let's talk about the 4 Scare Zone announcements that we had this week. So our very first Scare Zone announcement for this week started off on Monday, obviously, as all of them will. But our first Scare Zone announcement for this week was the Origins of Horror. And the current rumor for this one is that this is going to be our front Scare Zone for this year's event. The one that, you walk through the gates and that is the first thing you see. In the last couple years, it has been relatively disappointing, to say the least, as far as the amount of theming that has went into them, as well as the just overall execution of this front zone. So this year, it looks like they're really taking the criticism to heart, and hopefully we get something good. But let's talk about the Origins of Horror, this Scare Zone, and I'll give you a little bit of background that they gave us regarding this zone. The Origins of Horror. Enter a decaying conservatory of twisted vines where artists carve tributes to Halloween Horror Nights 34. You'll encounter monstrous crows, gargoyles, and more. This does sound like they are putting some effort into the zone this year. It definitely has more of a story than we have had in the past. And there's also, of course, rumors, as always, that we are extending this zone further back into Production Central this year. Again, always rumored since it stopped being that, but I don't believe so. I think we're gonna keep it the same way. We might continue that path off to the right towards Hollywood like we have in the past, but I don't see this extending into the Minions Alley / Production Central area. But from what we are hearing about this section from the UK media event that happened this week as well, the gargoyles that they are referencing are going to have massive wings. They literally said massive wings that will span basically across the street. It is going to be an interesting costume, to say the least. I'm interested to see, I mean, obviously these are gonna have to be stilt walkers to have wings that massive, but I'm interested to see if they end up lasting the entire run of the event, because something that big can be troublesome for scare actors to kind of maneuver around in. So I'd be interested, like I said, to see how long this lasts. But the other thing that is mentioned in this is crows. Now we have Edgar Allan Crow over in Hollywood, and like I said, at this HHN media event over in the UK, they did reference these crows in being quote unquote fan favorites over in Hollywood. So maybe they're taking some inspiration from that. Maybe we will see Edgar Allan Crow over here in Orlando this year. I doubt it. Maybe we're probably gonna have like his cousin or something. I don't know. But I'd like to see us create our own crow character that the fans can love and enjoy, like we did with Batilda / Patricia a couple years ago. But let's talk about our second Scare Zone that was announced on Tuesday. So this Scare Zone is very, very interesting. It is definitely one that I am super excited for this year. And this one is currently rumored to be over in Hollywood. The second Scare Zone that was announced for this week was Masquerade Dance with Death. Lot to unpack here with this one. We have some, once again, we have a little bit of a synopsis for this one, so I'll talk about that first, and then we can truly break down what I think is going to be involved in this Scare Zone. You're invited to a masquerade ball where bloodthirsty vampires lurk behind ornate disguises. When their masks fall, you'll become their prey. Yeah, definitely a super interesting scare zone idea for this area. And like I said, this is rumored to be over in Hollywood. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if there is not a massive chandelier that they've strung across the buildings from in Hollywood, I would be very upset. I mean, there is a perfect opportunity for this. I believe we currently don't have the parades running over in studios, so they have the opportunity to put that in there, make really elaborate sets. And from what I'm hearing, they're really trying to knock these zones out of the park. They're pushing way more budget into the zones this year, adding a whole bunch more scare actors. So I'm really excited to see them go all out for this zone. Now you may be thinking, for some Horror Nights fans that have been going to the event for quite some time, this does sound like a few zones that we've seen in the past. My personal one that this immediately made me think of was Blood Masquerade. That was a vampire-based kind of masquerade ball, which is exactly what this is. A lot of people are also thinking of, I think it was a zone called Masquerade, with literally M-A-S-K, and that was once again a masquerade ball that had that big chandelier, that had those masquerade mask big ball gowns. And this honestly just feels like it is taking that zone and Blood Masquerade and mushing them together and just saying, vampire ball, have at it, everybody. And for me, this is going to be one of the zones that I'm most excited for this year because of how beautiful the design for these costumes and characters can be. And I love a good vampire vamp zone. I know this isn't part of the vamp line, but it's close enough, let's be honest. And I like I said, super excited for this one. But like I said, that's Scare Zone number 2 that was announced for this week. Now let's move on to Scare Zone number 3 that was announced on Wednesday. So we had Monday, Tuesday, and now we have Wednesday. So Scare Zone number 3. Scare Zone number 3 was the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. Now, a lot of interesting things to talk about when you just look at just the name of the Scare Zone. Number 1, super long name for a Scare Zone that really is descriptive for a Scare Zone. We don't really get that a lot. I know we had the couple for the origins of horror, and then of course the one that we just talked about with the Masquerade. This one is just kind of right on the nose, the Cat Lady from Crooked Lane. I mean, there's not much else to talk about it with this, but I will read off the little synopsis that they gave us for this zone. Travel down a spooky winding path to a mysterious home where trick-or-treaters are transformed into feral felines. Be careful or you'll be next. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. So trick-or-treaters gonna be walking around. It's gonna give us really spooky, Halloween-y vibes. Definitely something that we need for this year. We have, based on all the houses that we've had so far, there isn't really something that screams just traditional Halloween, and this fits the bill. I'm interested to see what their costumes are gonna look like when they turn into cats. It's a very interesting concept, like I said, but definitely interested to see how this is going to play out. But it's giving me trick-or-treat vibes. It really is, and this is the perfect opportunity for them to bring the pumpkins back in the trees in Central Park, because that's where this is rumored currently is supposed to be our Central Park zone. Throw the pumpkins back in the trees. I am begging you, universe, I'm begging you, Halloween Horror Nights. We have missed these pumpkins dearly in the trees, and I think this is finally the year you give it back to us. Because if you do, I mean, this is automatically a year for the record books for being just overall just tailored to the fans. And I'm so excited for it. But let's talk about our last Scare Zone. Now you may be wondering, Michael, that's only Scare Zone number 4. Don't we normally have 5? Yes, you are absolutely right, but this year it looks like we're only going to have 4 fully fleshed out Scare Zones. Very interesting concept this year that they're deciding to go with for only having 4 Scare Zones. So let's talk about this 4th one, and this is obviously rumored for New York. So our very last Scare Zone to talk about is Mutations Toxic 20s. Very, very cool name in my opinion. Out of all of these, I think this is the coolest name that we have. It leads to interpretation, but also kind of giving you an idea of what you can expect in this zone. But once again, with all of these, we have our little synopsis for it, so I might as well tell you a little bit about this zone. Mutations, Toxic 20s. In 1920s neighborhood, a BuzzCon truck with radioactive cargo crashes into a mobster getaway car, sending the city into toxic pandemonium. With that, you may be wondering, Michael, BuzzCon, that's very familiar. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. And yes, you are absolutely right. We did hear about BuzzCon, which was the company in charge of creating the Exterminator from Bugs Eaten Alive that happened a few years ago as a house at Halloween Horror Nights. I believe that was 31. Wow, it's, yeah, 31. It's been a while. I get them, the years are starting to run together for me, but this was from the Exterminator, Bugs Eaten Alive. Is this related to it? Possibly. I'd love to see them build off of that and give us some more story regarding this, but the art for this, the key art, is super interesting. It definitely gives that 20s vibe, and with the mobsters and the mutants, I'm extremely interested on what they build off of this zone. There's already a lot of speculation about what we could see with this zone. A couple of people are thinking that they're going to bring the projections back into the buildings to make it look like a crumbling city. It's like the possibilities for this one are endless, and I am excited to see them start putting props out in the zones to really give us an idea of what we can expect when the event comes around. But that is all 4 of the zones that we have to talk about. Now, earlier in the video, I did reference street experiences. Now, we did get 2 street experiences revealed today of the time I'm recording this, yesterday for you seeing this. But we did get a few street experiences revealed to us, so I'll talk about those right now. So the 2 street experiences that we got announced to us were Mel's Die-In Zombies and Club Horror. Now, obviously, Mel's Die-In Zombies is going to be out in front of Mel's Die-In. I'm interested to see how much of the space is going to take up. Is it going to run closer to Hollywood? Is it going to run closer to Central Park? Or are they going to be able to successfully keep this in its own little centralized area right around Mel's Die-In? Is it going to be only inside the restaurant? Is it going to be all outside of it? Rumors of zombies on skates as car hops. I'm interested to see where we're going this, and I really want to know what is the difference between a street experience versus a scare zone. Is it the amount of detail? Is it similar to a roaming horde? But if it was, then why wouldn't they just call it a roaming horde? I'm trying to figure out what makes these street experiences versus a scare zone. It's something that we're going to have to see as we get closer to the event, or if they really reveal more details regarding these. But Club Horror, let's talk about Club Horror. Club Horror right now is rumored to be our former San Francisco location. From what I'm hearing with this for this street experience, is that it's basically going to be like a club atmosphere of how we got for the Dead Coconut Club in City Walk, but in the park. So an area to kind of enjoy some music, take a little bit of a break. Maybe they have a couple scare actors scattered throughout, but for the most part, it's gonna be less staffed with scare actors and more of just kind of a party vibe zone. And hopefully that can cut down on the bottleneck that area can be. I doubt it. I feel like this might be a little bit worse, to be honest, because you're gonna have a bunch of people standing around rather than just moving through the zone. It's gonna be interesting. It can go one of 2 ways. Either a lot of people don't care about it and people are just rushing through the zone, not really caring, or people really enjoy the vibe of it and you just have a bunch of people standing and sitting around clogging up that entire pathway, even more than it ever has been. So it's going to be interesting with this one, but they did reference in the little synopsis that we got for it, which I didn't even talk about. Let's talk about that really quick. The little synopsis that they gave us when they announced these 2 street experiences. Brave all new street experiences that take the horror to new heights, featuring zombie car hops, undead DJs, and more. So yes, like I said, they mentioned and more. So I anticipate that we may see more than just these 2 street experiences, which could lead us to have some more announcements as we get closer to the event of more experiences like these, where it'll be kind of a smaller area. Now, I hope that this means that we get something over in Springfield. Come on, please bring the chainsaws back into Springfield. I beg of you. That would literally make this an all-timer of a year if we bring those back. Everything that people have complained about would be resolved then at that point. If they put the pumpkins back in the trees and put Springfield back on the map with chainsaws, just please, Horror Nights, let's knock it out of the park this year. But that is basically it for what was announced this week. A ton of stuff though, like I said, so thank you for sticking with me as we broke all of this down. If you did enjoy this video though, please make sure you drop a like and also comment down below, out of everything that was announced between the scare zones and the street experiences, which was your favorite. Personally, I gotta go with the Mutations, Toxic 20s. It seems like the most fleshed out of all of these, with the most upside of what we could see. I'm really interested to see where they go with it. But like I said, comment down below which one you're most interested in out of these announcements. I'd like to know. But as always, I'm Michael from Hallowed Thrills, giving you the all clear, and all clear means you're out of here. See you guys next time.